What's your belief about the state of the dead? That is, do we go to heaven or to hell or death? This is where I win some and lose more. After the apostasy in the early Christian church, beginning about the end of the 2nd century, many pagan beliefs came into the church, and it paid the church to have some of these pagan beliefs nourished and taught. It brought in a lot of money. For centuries, the pagan view that at death the wicked go to a burning place and the righteous go to the opposite was taught in the Christian church. This has changed dramatically in the last 150 years. Scholarly books and Bible translations have drastically rearranged what was the traditional view on this subject. Because beginning about the middle of the 19th century, Bible scholars found there were rules for interpreting Scripture, and only in the second half of the 19th century did the church begin to apply these rules properly. The problem with the traditional view about going to hell at death or to heaven, and by the way, both the Pope and Billy Graham have denied the idea of an eternally burning hell. Scholars in all churches, provided they're not paid by the denomination, follow that suit of denying an eternally burning hell. And one of the questions they raise is this, which I submit to my friends who are about to become my enemies. If you believe the traditional view, you have a destiny settled for every professed believer before the second advent. But the New Testament does not support that. The end of Matthew 16, it's when Christ comes in his glory that all men are judged and either saved or lost. Secondly, the traditional view says there's a judgment at death. And according to the judgment at death, you go north or south. But the Bible doesn't teach that. The Bible teaches a judgment at the coming of Christ, not at death. Thirdly, the traditional view is opposed to the Christian teaching on the resurrection. Why bother with the resurrection if you're already up there? Why enclose the everlasting soul with this body? So the beliefs in the second advent and the judgment and the resurrection, so clearly taught in the New Testament, are against the traditional view. For this reason, almost all modern Bible translations cut out the word hell in many of the texts where you find it in the KJV. Not if the Greek word is Gehenna, which was associated with a rubbish dump of fire. But far more cases where the word hell is used, it just means the grave. So anyone, if they wish to solve the problem, need only take their concordance. There are 1,700 words that use texts that use soul and spirit. Not one out of the 1,700 says there's something called a soul or spirit that can survive without a body. Take your concordance and see. 60 times the Bible calls death a sleep, and resurrection is the awakening from that sleep. My warmest blessing on those who disagree.